Hello, heretics. Puritans constantly remind us that the rest of the world, especially the rest of the United States, hates women. However, the Puritans love the women. They respect the women. The Puritan clarity is the only bastion where women are treated as the queens they are. But what happens when a woman steps out of line, when she doesn't know her place? Well, then the woke religion threatens to cancel them. 2020's version of get back in the kitchen or pow, right to the moon. Many are attempting to have Gina Carano relieved of her post in The Mandalorian. And what did Gina do to upset the Puritans so much? She posted this picture, "We Got This Covered" article written by David James, titled, "Why So Many Mandalorian Fans Are Angry at Gina Carano Right Now." We're just going to skip ahead to the highlights. Here, the author David accuses Gina of having a pro-disease agenda. Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what she was doing. Every night, she clasps her hands together and prays to the great Lord Ebola, hoping that COVID spreads even further and faster. It can't possibly be because she's hoping that small business owners can keep their businesses. It can't possibly be that she's concerned about their employees and how are they going to make a living. Maybe she is of the opinion that the economic damage is more harmful than a disease that has an over 99% survival rate. Now, it would be one thing to disagree with her assessment. It's quite another to accuse her of being pro-disease and dehumanize her. The article also says, on November 5th, Carano tweeted a message calling for people to flush out fake votes and to investigate every state, which feeds directly into the right-wing conspiracy theorizing intended to call the results of the presidential elect into question. The whole purpose of this statement is to bring Gina closer to the Republican Party in the eyes of the reader, thus, in woke eyes, making her inhuman. However, I have to wonder if the author had the same reservations for people who claimed that Trump stole the election via Russian hackers. Back in the summer, she was accused of mocking trans people over pronouns, claiming they had abusive representation. Something to take note of is that Gina posted that anti-Nazi photo on August 3rd. From then, she had been being called a racist, a Nazi, people demanding that she say all cops are bad, absolutely demanding that she show her support for Antifa and BLM, basically to get back in line. One of those demands was for pronouns in her bio, so she put in beep bop boop. At worst, some may consider it a tasteless joke. I think she was just being a smartass to get underneath the Puritan skin. And apparently it worked. However, if you look at her Twitter now, those have been removed. She said she spoke to Pedro Pascal, I believe his name is. At that point, she removed them, saying she now understood why it was insensitive. Unfortunately for Puritans, a woman who thinks for herself is a witch and must be burned. Let's switch over to a Popdust article called "Can Disney Fire Gina Carano from The Mandalorian for Being Depressingly Normal?" written by Keith Baldwin. I love this coming right out of the gate. Look at Gian. Way to go. Way to go. Way to have a big old typo right at the beginning. Now, I'm not going to read this word by word. I'm going to continue off points that the last article left off on. Once embraced by fans for representing a realistic version of what a strong female warrior could look like, these moments of apparent ignorance turn many against her. Well, she is showing you what a strong female warrior looks like. After all, she was an MMA fighter. A strong woman's going to have her own opinions. And she's not going to back down from the threats of soy-infused white knights. Carano has done little to win back the love of fans who have turned against her. You mean bow down, bend the knee, know her place. After sitting back and reading article and article of this stuff as long as I have, you start to pick up what they mean whenever they say things like this. Carano has continued to make comments online that seem designed to anger or alienate left-leaning fans. I don't think so. Now, granted, I haven't seen all of her tweets. I don't go diving that far. However, her tweets seem to be gentle to me. And while sure, I could see how they could be disagreeable, I don't see how they paint her as the monster that these articles seem to want to make her out to be. The article goes on to say that Gina announced that she was joining right-wing echo chamber Parler. Gina did not call it a right-wing echo chamber. Through the accusation of being an echo chamber, he is attempting to discredit both Parler and Gina. and placing Gina firmly in the Republican camp, which we don't know if that's true. I've never seen her post anything saying Democrats are horrible or Republicans are wonderful. I've not seen anything like that. However, I do find it amusing that the idea of free speech is a right-wing echo chamber. That just blows my mind. Now, here's something I take some issue with. Conspiratorial nonsense that threatens the foundations of our democracy. This is a silencing strategy that I have seen before. Of course, this is in response to her calling into question the results of the election, saying that we should count all the votes. The statement being made here is that questioning elections does real harm to the country. The foundation of this country is free speech. We should question everything. We should question elections. I'm surprised that these folks don't see how they are behaving like the far right-wing conservatives of the early 2000s. You can't question the war. That does damage to our country. That threatens the war effort. You have to shut up. Gina has revealed herself to harbor some wrong-headed and dangerously ignorant views. Once again, free speech is dangerous. We can't allow people to have opinions outside of what the Puritan clergy allows us. And again, I have to bring up the irony of the woke crowd screaming how much they respect women, but yet they're telling this woman to know her place. And this is pathetic. Here he goes on about Trump and the birtherism and the birth certificate. I don't understand what that has to do with Gina. Xenophobic. Let's get all the keywords in here. Trump is a racist. He's a white supremacist. What the author is attempting to do here is to equate Gina to Trump, to make them the same being. As we all know, orange man bad, orange man fascist. If he can make that connection, he can treat this woman any way he wants to, because she's Trump now. The author goes on, finally talking about Gina again. As long as she wants to use her platform to spread ignorant and dangerous views, her voice shouldn't be amplified by a Disney seal of approval. She's employed by Disney. A person's employer does not mean that that employer approves of every single thing that they say or do. I'm just amazed at how people never catch on to this. Her dangerous views are any views that are stepping outside of what the Puritans want her to think. And these folks call themselves progressives. Progress happens because people have new ideas, different ideas, and usually those ideas are born out of disagreement. At one time, free speech was considered to be a dangerous idea. At one time, democracy was considered to be a dangerous idea. It's always entertaining watching authors like this attempt to water down a term and then apply it to their opposition. Here he says, conservative voices are always eager to play victim and accuse the left of intolerance. He is saying this of the idea of if they were to actually get Gina fired, that she would play victim and say, hey, you got me fired. That's not playing victim. If you do something to somebody and they point out that you did that to them, that's not playing victim. I find this rich coming from people who say, oh, you hurt my feelings, therefore all my opinions are right. That's playing victim. Oh, you think minimum wage shouldn't be raised up to $15 an hour? Well, you obviously just hate poor people, and that hurts my feelings, therefore you're wrong. That's playing victim, good sir. Now here they almost have a moment of self-awareness. It's likely that Disney firing her would launch her into a new level of celebrity as a conservative pundit and victim of cancel culture. This may serve to push her and others like her even further into right-wing misinformation, intolerance, and conspiratism. But what choice is there when the alternative is to continue adding to her profile and her ability to spread a destructive message? The alternative is to disprove her. Instead of just sitting there screaming how much your feelings are hurt or that she should be fired, instead attack her ideas. And whenever I say attack her ideas, I don't mean just sit there and scream, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, blah, 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 blah. Explain why her ideas are bad. It's that simple. When you resort to immediately dehumanizing somebody or attempting to attack their way of life, that just shows how wrong you are, that you have no recourse, that you have no intellectual recourse for an argument. He ends with, just because her views are normal doesn't make them okay. I just want to point out that Bounding into Comics author Spencer Biculli also did a really great response to that article. I suggest that you read it. I will put a link into the description. So far, Gina has not backed down, and she hasn't been fired from The Mandalorian. I hope she understands how many people are thankful to her for not bending the knee. Hopefully, in time, more celebrities and more corporations and companies will understand that there's no place in bending the knee for these outrage mobs who demand complete conformity. For those of you who have watched to this point, I want to thank you very much for being here. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and like, subscribe. Again, thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.